Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. This is Kiva Leatherman, founder of the Wise Women Network, and I'm so happy that you are back for day 5 of the Fall in Love with Money Challenge. We've got some awesome backup dancers here for our party today. Hi, ladies. Oh, we lost Maura in the car. Maura was here with her kids in the car. Hopefully, she'll dial back in because that was super fun. So yeah, let's get moving and then we'll move into today's content. So we've got a super fun song for everybody today. If you want to mute us and play it on your own. Oh, what just happened? Something really crazy on my computer. I lost the song. If you want to mute us here so you can play the song really loud and like really dance it out, this is one of the best songs ever for dancing. And if you want to just use your speakers and dance with me here, that's great too. So I've got Chachi here keeping me company as we dance. So if you see this very cute, look, Chachi, say hi. You gonna dance? Oh, how do you say the groovy, Chachi?
Tigoja.
All right. This is the one you just gotta like let it go, right?
How do you say? Delight. Voices and have some fun.
Chachi's like, what are you doing, you crazy lady? Dancing. Dance with me! Got Summer Box in the house! Chachi's wanting in on the action.
Watch out.
You're so excited. I'm gonna shut you to spit my butt.
Got a deal you wanna know. The life of true is the life of making it doing it special at a show. When I kinda high like a henchman. It's like the music. All inside of the heart, especially the note of a rhythm. Where I wanna be flowing with electric God. Try to maybe see that rhythm and think with it. Just sing about it.
It's like a workout. Oh, so good, guys.
Thank you.
Alright, geniuses. Get some water. Be with you. Hi. So, really fun song, silly song, gets us moving and smiling and grinning and all our juices buzzing. Because sometimes that's the best way to approach really getting real with ourselves. Getting honest about the reality of where we are. So, you know, I'm here this week masterminding with like really brilliant women. And we've been talking a lot about integrity, integrity in marketing, integrity online, what it means to really acknowledge the truth of where you are so that you're not trying to bypass the journey. And so I made the meditation today about integrity because I think that the way that we've been taught about integrity is it's about good and bad, right? Like telling the truth or lying, or stealing or paying for things. And this conversation about integrity is a much more evolved, compassionate conversation about integrity. It's about when your insides and your inner reality match your outsides. And that when you do something like you did yesterday and you create goals for yourself, being in integrity means that you are focused on doing the things to achieve those goals. So it's not in integrity to say, I want to help 1,000 people, like to use Summer's work, right? Like she wants to help millions of people heal their guts. That's her expertise. And then for her to not put that work out there and, be eating crappy food all the time. That would be out of integrity for her. And so the tool that I wanted to give you today in this challenge is a way to start really holding yourself to a higher standard of how you're spending your time in your life. If any of you saw me interview Gay Hendricks a couple of weeks ago, we talked about the notion of bending time and time bending and using time as a tool is something that I teach in all my programs and to all my clients, because for me, as a mom of 2 little kids, it's been a thing, right? Like getting more done with less. And being very intentional about how we are spending time, especially when it's limited, because as women we have so many other pulls on our time than just our business, then we have to be really diligent and thoughtful and specific, intentional about the things that we're doing and when we're doing them. And so I gave you this, this is my version of it. It's really messy, but I gave you this really pretty version on your worksheet today to start to teach you about really getting clear about how you're expending your energy in your life and whether you're expending it in a way that's leading you toward what you want, which is being in integrity, or whether you're doing everything but, which is like 90% of the population, everything but the thing that's going to get you to what you want, because then you get to keep living in this cycle that you've been propagating since you were probably 6 or 7 years old, that you don't get to have what you want. Right? So this is the whole point of this conversation, is we want to break out of these patterns that keep us where we are and keep us in the limiting, blocked, obstacle-ridden land of normalcy, right? No normalcy here. So let's talk about this graph. So the vertical axis on the left-hand side, there's a couple ways you can think about this. You can think about actions or activities that are energy, that create energy, right? They give you more energy when you do them. And at the bottom, it goes down to energy depleting. Things that when you do them, they make you feel like tapped, right? Another way you could think of this axis, you can choose, right? This is your journey, so you get to decide. Another way I like to think about it is it life affirming, right? Are we creating more life on the planet? Or is it decaying life? So an example I give for this is Hitler, right? So Adolf Hitler was very effective in doing what he did, right? He did a really good job at creating World War II and awfulness, right? And so he had a goal, and he achieved that goal really well. The distinction we're going to make here is we can put, like, it took away life, right? It didn't create more love on the planet, more abundance on the planet, more health on the planet. It was life decaying. And so we can begin to see that it's not just about having a goal, but is that goal something that expands energy, that expands humanity, that expands spirituality? So those are two ways you can think about it. Pick what works for you. Is it that it creates more energy in your body, makes you feel awesome, like this dancing that we're doing this week? Or is it a big drag on your system, going to exhaust you and deplete you? The bottom axis is it time pressing? So some of you may begin to recognize this from Stephen Covey's work, right? So he would have said urgent versus important. Here we're going to look at, is it time pressing versus time expanding? So one of the ways that I've started to think about how can I expand my time in my work is programs like this, right? We're talking to over 1,000 women in this way, or I could have this conversation with someone one-on-one. So this is a time expanding activity that we're all participating in here in real time. So urgent versus important, or time pressing versus time expanding. So now you have the 4 quadrants, and let's just number them so that for clarity, since you guys are following along. And what I'll do is I'll fill out one of the sheets, take a picture of it, and post it into the Facebook group so that you guys can see. But I want to really land for you how vital this is. So let's, in the upper left-hand corner, make that quadrant number 1. Upper right-hand corner, quadrant number 2. Lower right-hand corner, quadrant number 3. And bottom left-hand corner, quadrant number 4. So in quadrant number 1, where you've got a lot of energy, but it's very urgent, right? It's time pressing, something we have to do right now. We're going to call that the quadrant of reactivity. Now, if you imagine that you only have 24 hours in a day, we have this set fixed amount of time. Most people, when I start to work with them, are spending about 60 to 70% of their time in quadrant 1, in the quadrant of reactivity, because we're conditioned and patterned to do so. And we have to, right? Not only is it urgent, but there's something that's creating more life about that. So that might be, needing to get something done for a client would fall in this quadrant, right? It's got a deadline. We have to get it done. Mara knows this. She's always got clients on deadlines, RFPs. So what we want to do is start to build systems and processes to eliminate that so that we can move time consciously into quadrant number 2, which we'll talk about last. So that's the quadrant of reactivity. So now we've typically got about 30 to 40% of our time left, and where most people live, if they haven't been conscious, if we haven't become conscious about it yet, is in one of these 2 bottom quadrants. So quadrant number 3, where there's not an urgency, right? It's time expansive. but it's energy depleting. It's not adding more life. So this could be something like video games, right? Like a video game is expansive in time. There, you could do it for days. In fact, I remember once back in my days in investing, we had gotten a Sony PlayStation, and I got Frogger, and I figured out how you could find all the shortcuts to win Frogger on like this new thing called the internet. And I literally skipped work for 3 days. That's how much of a pull that was for me, and like I wasn't awake yet, so forgiveness. But I did. I skipped work for 3 days just to play Frogger. And so we call that the quadrant of decay. And the reason we call it the quadrant of decay is because when we spend time there, what are we doing? Our brain cells are literally atrophying. Our connection to source and spirit is not getting fed. Our creative juices are not being used. And that's where, you know, you see people at 40 years old who look kind of like they're done. You know? So that's the quadrant of decay. Moving over to the left, so now we have things that feel time pressing, right? There's an urgency, but they're not life affirming. They're not creating more energy. This could be unconsciously checking your Facebook or your emails all the time. This could be reaching for food to quell emotion. And so we call this the quadrant of addiction. It's when something feels like we have to have it right now, but it's not actually leading us toward our goals. It's not creating more of usness. So these three quadrants are where most people spend most of their time, you know, and it's just sort of this sad reality that that our culture feeds into. And so what we want to start to do through our work together, and as you go out into the world and think about what am I creating, is we want to be able to flow more and more and more and more of our time to quadrant 2, which is the quadrant of creation. Because when we can create things that create more life, more energy, more goodness, more love on the planet, but we're doing that in a time-expansive container, that's when we can build things that can literally become exponential. Right now on Tuesday, we're going to talk about 3 levels of revenue. So the first is foundational, the second is surplus, the third is exponential. Where exponential revenue, where exponential energy gets created is when we consciously spend time in quadrant number 2, in the energy of creation. And it's where integrity lives. This is why I wanted to share this with you today. Because integrity, living the same inside as we're expressing outside, can only happen when we're present, when we're not acting from reactivity, addictions, or just, you know, giving it up and spending our most precious asset, which is our time, in things that neither further our energy or the energy of the planet. And so as we move into next week, what I want you guys to do, the weekend's a little tough. Hopefully you guys are all spending the weekend in just like serving yourself mode, right? But as we get into next week, I want you to start to notice how much of your time are you spending in each of these quadrants, right? And without judgment. This isn't about making you wrong or meaning that, you know, your life is withering away in front of your eyes. This is just about noticing with love, so that as necessary we can make shifts and adjustments for you so that you're doing the things that get you to your goals. Yesterday, I can't remember who it was, but someone in the Facebook group wrote, like, I do this goal thing. I have it, like, it's color-coded. It's not working. And my guess is, you know, we didn't have a bigger conversation about it, but my guess is that there's a couple things going on, like a white-knuckled attachment to that goal, but also how are you creating toward it? Right? That missing piece between goal and receiving is the action. And the action without attachment, without fear, without having to have it. And so that's what I want you to think about over the next few days. We have a break from each other. So we have the weekend and then Monday for you to really start to notice how these things are going to be showing up in your life. You're going to get an email from me on Sunday because there's some specific things I want you to take a look at on Monday so that you'll be ready for the culmination session, which is really integrating everything that we've learned over the last 5 days and learning how to take it forward, right? So that this just wasn't a fun 5 days that we have together, but is actually the thing that opens up a shift for you in the money that's actually coming in, right? Like now we've loved it, so let's receive it. In today's email, I asked you a question. You know, there's sort of like a key to unlocking the castle here. I'm curious if any of you have noticed it, and so shoot me an email if you figured out the keystone, the magic to this entire challenge. It's right here in front of you. You're seeing it all the time. So there's your little riddle. I'll tell you my take on it on Tuesday. In the meantime, so glad to have been here with you this week. It has honestly surpassed every expectation that I had. Been so personally moving for me to see you all here, to see your comments in the Facebook group, and I can't wait to share what we have planned for you on Tuesday. It's going to blow your minds. So I will see you then. Have an amazing weekend. Get out to the beach. More have fun at the beach. Let me know what questions you have in the Facebook group, and I will see you all on Tuesday. Mwah. Bye, everybody.